What's up, people? Fizz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the newest Scream Factory Blu-ray release. This for 1986's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, directed by Tobe Hooper. And when this release was first announced by Scream Factory, I decided I was not going to pick it up. I did not need the Scream Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because I've already got this Arrow Blu-ray release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And this is an awesome edition, loaded, absolutely loaded. It includes 2 early films from Tobe Hooper that I've always wanted to see, The Heisters and Eggshells. This to me was the definitive Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 Blu-ray. And I've really tried to take a proactive approach to not double dip or to cut back quite a bit on my double dipping. But sometimes double dipping is appropriate. And I do think it is appropriate in the case of Scream Factory's Collector's Edition of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Blu-ray. A few weeks ago, we had Michael Felsher of Red Shirt Pictures on The Sausage Factory, which if you guys have not seen that episode, by all means, go watch that episode. Head over to the Sausage Factory YouTube channel. Head over to thesausagefactoryshow.com. I'll put a link to that episode around here somewhere. We were talking about our favorite DVD and Blu-ray editions, and Michael was a phenomenal guest. So many amazing stories he told us on that show. And he also gave us really great insight and information into all the hard work and dedication that goes into producing these kind of Blu-ray editions. And Scream Factory, this purchase is thanks to Michael Slipcase Felsher, because he talked me into it based on what he had to say about this edition on The Sausage Factory. He sold it to me based on all the new exclusive extras to this release, as well as the extended interviews with Lou Perryman and L.M. Kit Carson that were on the original It Runs in the Family, that 80-something minute feature-length documentary that was on the original DVD release or on the Gruesome Edition DVD release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It's on the Arrow Blu-ray. It's on this one as well. But this edition sports extended interviews with both L.M. Kit Carson and Lou Perryman, and both of them have unfortunately passed away. So that helped sell me on this release. So this isn't going to be a review of the film. It's going to be a review simply of this release from Scream Factory. But I'll just tell you a little bit about my thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the film. I love it. Any of you guys who've been around my channel for any period of time, you know I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's my favorite horror film. I think it's just an absolute watershed moment. Not just in horror movies, but I think in independent film, period. And I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was really Tobe Hooper's answer to the original Chainsaw. The original Chainsaw, people didn't get the humor that Tobe had put into the film because the movie was so grim, the movie was so realistic. Audiences had never seen a movie like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in 1974. And just that title, that evocative and provocative title, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, it evokes images of blood, guts, gore, and absolute bloodbath. People who've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre think it's a bloodbath based solely on the title. Even people who've seen the film think it's a bloodbath. And I think that's part of the movie's brilliance. It's so cerebral and just so realistic and raw and just a ferocious movie. So with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Tobe Hooper and the writer L.M. Kit Carson, they made a really ballsy choice, which was to take the film straight comedy. Almost a satire of horror films. This is almost a satire of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's blood, guts, and gore galore. But it's funny because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 are such different films, yet I love them both. And I love them both for different reasons. But I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. On to the Blu-ray itself. That cover art, this slipcase art for this collector's edition is probably my favorite of all the collector's edition, or just all of the Scream Factory cover arts. This one is just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. As with all collector's editions, The inside sleeve here, you can reverse it to the original poster art, the mock Breakfast Club poster art there. Always loved it as well. So it's a beautiful looking set here. Love that cover art. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover art. And of course, I took notes, but before I take notes, let me wet the palate with some Dr. Pepper in honor of Tobe Hooper. Yeah. Good stuff. Now all I need is a cigar. Just a big stogie. Anyway, I took notes because that's just what I do. When I do one of these reviews, I want to be detailed. I want you guys to know everything about it, because if you've got the Arrow Blu-ray release, I want you to know what's on this one, and I want you to make the decision which one you want to go with, or if you want to go with both, as I have. We've got some new exclusive to the Scream Factory release extras. First off, we have got a 42-minute feature called House of Pain with makeup effects artist Bart Mixon, Gabe Bartalis, Gino Cragnell, and John Vulich. I've seen a lot of these kind of features with special makeup effects guys. This is probably my favorite one of all of them that I've seen. Really detailed, lots of information in here about the making of the film. Each of them talk about how they got hired by Tom Savini, what their kind of specialties were on the set as far as the special effects were concerned. They talk about how they pulled off certain shots. They talk about sculpting the Leatherface mask, about doing the Chop Top makeup, about doing the Lou Perryman skinned makeup. Lots of behind the scenes footage. 42 minutes. Really, really fun. Really enjoyed this special feature. Next up, we've got an 18-minute interview with actors Chris Doritas and Barry Kenyon called Yuppie Meat. Of course, those are they played the yuppies at the beginning of the movie who are out raising hell and, just being not nice guys when they run afoul of the Sawyer clan, and things don't turn out in their favor. We'll just put it that way. They talk about how they got cast in the film. They talk about working with Tobe Hooper. They shot the whole bridge scene. Then they discovered that footage was unusable. It was too dark, so they had to go back, reshoot it. Really nice interview with those guys. We have got cutting moments with editor Alan Jakubowicz. About 16 and a half minutes, he talks about working with Canon Films, about cutting Delta Force. He edited Invaders from Mars, which is how he got Texas Chainsaw 2. Tobe Hooper was so impressed with his edit of Invaders from Mars that he wanted him to cut Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Pretty interesting conversation with him. Interesting guy. I'll leave it at that. Next up, we've got Behind the Mask, an interview with stuntman and Leatherface performer Bob Elmore. About 13 and a half minutes. He talks about getting hired to play Leatherface in the film. Originally, he was supposed to just be a Leatherface stuntman, but he ended up playing Leatherface quite a bit in the film because the chainsaw that they actually used in the movie was about 75 pounds, and Bill Johnson just couldn't lift it over his head. The thing was just so heavy that he ended up playing Leatherface quite a bit in the movie. The chainsaw is so heavy that at one point while wielding it, he broke his wrist. Bob Elmore broke his wrist while wielding the chainsaw in Texas Chainsaw 2 because it was so heavy. Nice interview with him. About 13 and a half minutes. Next up, we have got a new Horrors Hallowed Grounds with Sean Clark. He visits some of the shooting locations from the film, some of which are no longer there or very, very difficult to find. Clark actually FaceTimes Carolyn Williams at one point to get her input on where the radio station location was. A lot of the locations are gone or destroyed or just sort of like the entire location where they shot the Sawyer's underground lair was like, it's like a parking lot now, and it doesn't look like a very big parking lot. So when you think about that, all that stuff that took place in the underground lair, and then you see Sean Clark standing in this parking lot, you're like, they stuffed all that into that tiny place. Really mind-blowing. About 24 and a half minutes. Pretty interesting. Like I said, unfortunately, a lot of those locations are just simply no longer there, which kind of sucks, but yeah. We've got the It Runs in the Family, the 85-minute feature-length 6-part making of documentary. Absolutely exhaustive, comprehensive making of documentary. They talked to just about everybody associated with Texas Chainsaw 2, I think with the exception of Tobe Hooper. And just exhaustive. Exhaustive. Everything and anything you could possibly want to know about Texas Chainsaw 2 is in this documentary. The extended interviews with L.M. Kit Carson and Lou Perryman run about 29.5 minutes. So, lots of, especially with Lou Perryman, which Lou Perryman was just an absolute character. An absolute character. So, as far as commentaries are concerned, we've got a brand new commentary with D.P. Richard Corus, production designer Kerry White, script supervisor Laura Corus, and property master Michael Sullivan. We've got an audio commentary with Tobe Hooper, a commentary with Bill Mosley, Carolyn Williams, and Tom Savini. So you've got 3 commentaries there. We've got an alternate opening title sequence, deleted scenes, still galleries, theatrical trailers, TV spots, behind-the-scenes footage. Lots and lots of stuff on this disc. As far as the picture and audio quality are concerned, both top-notch. The picture quality, we've got a 2K scan from the original Interposit film Element. The movie looked fantastic. I wish there was some way I could have lined up the Arrow release with the Scream Factory release. I remember the Arrow release looking really good as well. The Scream Factory release looks pretty daggone good. Very, very good picture quality. The audio quality is 5.1 DTS HD master audio. The movie looks fantastic. The movie sounds fantastic. Yeah, great picture quality, great sound quality, but that's pretty much expected from Scream Factory. And this is a great release. This is a great release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. If you didn't get the Arrow Blu-ray release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I would absolutely encourage you to go out and pick this release up. If you got the Arrow Blu-ray release, I would still encourage you to double dip and go out and pick this up, because you got a lot of new exclusive extras just to this disc, and those extended interviews with Ellen Kit Carson and Lou Perryman were really cool. So, yeah, just lots of special features, lots of cool stuff. The picture quality, the sound quality are great. Love the presentation, love the new cover art there. Yeah. Really, really nice edition. 2 discs as well. I just don't think I mentioned that. 2 discs. Yeah, definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Definitely, this is the way to go. And if you have the Arrow Blu-ray release of this, I would encourage you to double dip and pick up the Scream Factory release as well. Alright, so yeah, that is the new Scream Factory Blu-ray release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, directed by Tobe Hooper. Again, if you guys did not see the Sausage Factory episode in which we had Michael Felsher as a special guest to discuss our favorite DVD and Blu-ray releases, I've got a link around here somewhere, I'm sure. Go check that out. That was a really, really fun, informative show. And again, Scream Factory, you owe my purchase and probably a lot of purchases out there to people who were on the fence to Michael really selling it on that episode of the Sausage Factory. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've picked up this edition or if you've pre-ordered it and you're waiting on it, please let me know in the comments section below. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace.